Fundamentally, I don't believe we can compare like Windows and Mac because there are many brands of laptops with in different price categories in Windows, and they come with different chipsets and many other aspects compared to like a Mac, which is just like one series of laptops. Maybe the Pro and the Air are different, but it's just one lineup whose hardware and software are all controlled by a single company. So what we'll do instead in today's video is compare similarly priced laptops, one which runs Windows and another which runs Mac OS or which is a Mac. Atharv's laptop is the HP Spectre X360 with the Intel Core Ultra 7 processor and Intel Arc graphics with 32 GB of RAM and 1 TB storage. And Gautam's laptop is the Macbook Air 13-inch with M2 chip with 16 GB RAM and 512 GB storage. Both the laptops are priced at around 1.5 lakh Indian rupees, which is around $2,000 if you convert it directly.
Starting off with the first parameter of comparison, and that's performance. It's arguably the most important parameter because it defines what it's actually gonna be like to use the laptop, how smooth it's gonna be, and it can also determine the longevity of your device. Now hear me out. As the years change, the demand also increases. Laptops that perform better are able to keep up with this demand, and laptops that do not perform as well cannot keep up with this demand. That's why it kind of affects the longevity too. In our day-to-day tasks, we did not notice much difference in between the Windows and the Mac laptop. So we decided to run a synthetic benchmark which is more demanding. We use Cinebench 2024, and here are the single core and multi-core scores. For the Windows laptop, the single core score was 95. For the Mac, it was 121. Here's what shocked me. The M2 Mac was able to outperform all the M1 chips when it came to single core tasks, including the M1 Max, the M1 Pro and the M1 Ultra. This was shocking to me, but on further research, I realized that it wasn't pretty rare, and what this says is that the Mac UI experience is definitely going to be smoother because of the improved single core performance. Moving on to multi-core, I expected Atharv's laptop to do better because it does have more cores, and also it had certain advantages which I'll talk about later. But the Mac still performed better. It got a score of 546, whereas Atharv's laptop only got a score of 508. Now we did run the same tests on Cinebench 2023 because I was quite skeptical about my Mac score, and there Atharv's laptop did perform slightly better. So there's something behind this. Like I said, you cannot fully rely on these synthetic benchmarks. But there is a disadvantage to these Windows laptops, and that is they have a fan. When Atharv was running this benchmark, he had his laptop plugged in and the fans were running at max speed, which were quite noisy, but this was for thermal dissipation. My Mac on the other hand wasn't even plugged in, and while it did get warm, I noticed around 6% battery life drain. I did not notice any lags when performing other tasks, same as Atharv's, but it did not have any fans, so it wasn't noisy, which is a plus in my opinion. Overall, it's 1 point for Team Mac.
The next category is configuration options. In general, Windows has more configuration options, but my laptop here came with only one variant of 32 GB RAM and 1 TB storage. Apple, on the other hand, is obnoxious in terms of configuration options. You get base variant with 8 GB RAM, which is tough to work with, especially in more complicated workflows, and Apple has an atrocious pricing to upgrade to the next tier, which is not acceptable in any sense. The other advantage if you're comparing like my laptop and Gautam's laptop here is that my laptop comes with 32 GB RAM and 1 TB storage, while his is 16 GB RAM and 512 GB storage. So at the similar price point, I get double the RAM and double the storage. So considering all of these aspects, I think the point here goes to Windows.
The third parameter is effective storage. Now what is effective storage? Now Atharv and I coined this term when we were scripting this video, but what we realized was that Windows takes a lot more storage as is just to run on the device compared to Mac. While Windows took nearly 100 GB of storage, Mac OS took around 25 to 50 GB of storage on my device when I just got it brand new. So when you're considering the entire storage experience, effective storage is one thing you can consider, but obviously configuration comes above that. But it's still 1 point for Team Mac.
The next category is build quality. In general, the build quality of Windows laptops depends on its price point. But if I have to talk about my laptop in particular, it is really well built and it feels really premium. Macbook Air, which is Gautam's laptop, is built really well too, and the way Apple manages the weight distribution is just amazing. The MacBook Pros, however, do feel a bit heavy in comparison, at least from what I have experienced. If you compare a high-end Windows laptop to the MacBook at the similar price point, you'll get similar build quality. So here I'll divide the points equally. So it's half point to Mac and half point to Windows.
The fifth parameter is a very important parameter, and that's the display. Atharv's laptop came with a 120Hz OLED display with touchscreen and pen support. My laptop, on the other hand, came with a LCD Retina display with a notch. Atharv's laptop did not have a notch. When we did a side-by-side comparison, Atharv's laptop did get brighter. But when it came to color reproduction, I felt the Mac was much better. The color black was also tackled better by the Mac, which was surprising because Atharv's laptop had a greenish tint. Text was a lot more readable on the Mac compared to the Windows laptop. But I would still give a point to the Windows laptop because it had a smoother display, it was more vibrant, brighter, and overall it was a better choice considering the touchscreen and pen support, which a lot of people lack. But if you're a person that's doing a lot of reading, the Mac display is the way to go. HDR content was also better on the Mac, but overall when I'm considering everything, Windows takes the lead on this one.
Coming to the cameras, generally Windows doesn't have good webcams, but HP has done an incredible job with the webcam on the HP Spectre, which is the laptop I have, which comes with a 9-megapixel AI camera and even studio features, like the portrait blur you see in my video, or if I go back, it'll adjust the framing accordingly. Like if I come back forward now, it arranges the frame automatically. That's called automatic framing. Then you also have eye contact, so even though if I'm probably reading the script from the side, the eye contact is still maintained. So yeah, you get these all these extra features with my laptop, but if you consider like a general case, then it depends from different manufacturers. Mac webcam is good in general, but where it shines is in low light. But overall, if I had to give a point, it would be equal again. But if you compare like my laptop to Gautam's MacBook Air, then my laptop easily wins, considering that it has the AI camera with all the extra features which I mentioned, which the Mac doesn't have. But considering like in general, Windows laptops don't have good webcams, I divided the point equally. So half point for Windows and half point for the Mac.
The next parameter might not be as important for everyone, but it's the speaker. But for those that use the speaker, they know how important it is for them. We did a side-by-side comparison of Atharv's laptop and my MacBook. Atharv's laptop did get louder and was more bass heavy. My laptop was more richer and it felt true to the actual sound. We thought that the MacBook would take an easy win for this one, but surely the Windows put up a good fight. In fact, Atharv's laptop got so loud when we were doing the side-by-side comparison, I could feel the vibration on my MacBook's body. Overall, I would give the point to Atharv's laptop because it did get louder and it also has an equalizer. Windows as a software also has app-by-app volume reduction, which is a really useful feature if you have a lot of apps running in the background. For the Mac, you have to download a third-party solution, so the Windows definitely takes this point.
The next category is battery life. My laptop has a pretty big battery and I cannot give like a number for how many hours the battery lasts, but because I keep my laptop plugged in almost all the time, there's this maximum power performance mode and if the battery is plugged in, so I just keep that on. So I can't like give exact hours, but I think it's good enough to last me an entire day because I don't like do heavy tasks often. Like I just watch YouTube videos or maximum scroll the web. So that way it's not a problem for me. But if you consider Windows laptops in general, it's known to have pretty poor battery life compared to what is claimed by the brand. Macs, on the other hand, are known for their incredibly good battery life, and Gautam easily gets 6 hours of battery life even after his battery being on 95% battery health. So, even after it's deteriorated so much in 1 year, he still gets like 6 hours of battery life. So, that's a testament to how good the Mac's battery life is. So I think the point here clearly goes to the Mac, but it's safe to say that both laptops will be able to survive a whole day when taken to college without connecting to the charger, because obviously you won't be doing any heavy tasks there unless maybe you're running specialized software, which obviously I haven't tested yet, but Gautam gets through his day without having to connect to his charger.
Moving on to the next point, which is definitely important if you plan on keeping the laptop for a long time, and that's repairability and upgradability. What I pointed out when we were doing the side-by-side comparison is that Atharv's laptop screws were hidden inside a rubber band that acted as the foot of the laptop or a rest of the laptop, whereas the screws on the Mac were much more accessible. But even though we did this side-by-side comparison, the Windows laptop definitely takes the lead because Apple is notorious for having parts pairing and other issues when it came to upgradability. Windows, on the other hand, does not have as expensive parts, and it's also easier to upgrade. So overall, there's no contention. The Windows takes the lead for this point.
The next category is the keyboard. The keys on my laptop have more travel and feel good to type on, but the result on Monkey Type, which is like used to test out typing speed, said otherwise, with the max speed being only 55 words per minute and accuracy 85%. Talking about the Mac, the key travel is less, but it is very tactile. Although the feel isn't that good, it is more practical in terms of typing speed, and I got a speed of 60 words per minute with an accuracy of 90%. So if you go by like pure numbers, obviously the Mac has the better keyboard, but I mean, I have like a bias to my keyboard obviously because of the more premium feel it provides compared to the Mac, but the Mac is more accurate and it gives me a faster typing speed. So the numbers don't lie. The point goes to Mac in terms of the keyboard.
The last point to end the comparison is software. Atharv's laptop came with Windows and my laptop came with macOS. Windows has a lot more features and it has a wider app support. But Windows has issues of its own. It lacks the stability or the reliability the MacBook provides, and it has extremely questionable privacy. Windows also has a lot of unnecessary third-party apps that come baked in when you buy your laptop. Another major issue that Windows laptop face are random bugs that just ruin the complete experience of your laptop. Updates are also a major issue with Windows laptops because there's no way to pause these updates. It can also break your device often, and the only way out is to completely do a reinstall of Windows. So that's, in my book, not so good for Windows. But the features and the wider app support are definitely more pleasing for a lot of people if you can bear the smaller bugs which you may face once in a while depending on your laptop and also your manufacturer. The Mac lacks when it comes to app support and also features. But like Apple says, it just works. That's the beauty of a Mac. When you try to figure something out when you're trying to do something, the Mac just works and it does not provide any issues that way. It does not have any bugs and you can pause the updates without any problem. So that, in my opinion, is a good plus point for Mac. But app support surely takes it down. Overall, this would be a tie in my opinion because it's a very controversial. For those people who have Windows that suit their need, should definitely get a Windows laptop. For the people that love Mac for what it is and how easy it is to use, especially within the ecosystem, they should get a Mac. But if you're a person that's leaning towards the Mac side and you're missing some of the features that the Windows laptop has, you can obviously download third-party apps or you can emulate Windows, which the Mac is good at. The other way around is not that easy to do because of Apple cutting down on emulation of macOS. But overall, it would still be a tie in my opinion.
If you have been keeping count of the points both Windows and Mac get, then you might have probably reached the same conclusion as we have, with Windows having 5.5 points and Mac also having 5.5 points. Surprise, surprise, we did not plan this at all. Coincidentally, both the Mac and Windows get the same number of points. So what's the conclusion? To conclude, a high-end laptop can give tough competition to the Mac, and if you are buying a gaming laptop with NVIDIA graphics, you might get a laptop better than the MacBook, except the weight and battery life. In our case, where we did an apples to apples comparison, pun intended, we ended up with a tie. It ultimately depends on your use case and your preference of OS, and even your budget. You have to make your choice based on your workflow and make sure to check whether all the apps you use in your day to day tasks are all available on Mac. That concludes the video. If you liked it, and do share it with others and subscribe to the channel for more such content. Click here or here to see the video about Microsoft's new laptops with the new Snapdragon X Elite chips, and I'll catch you there. Bye.